Because I've heard so many Australian accents over the last couple of days, I'm going to start off today saying, G'day YouTube. Let's continue with my definitions, today's episode being about the God of the Gaps. No worries here. My definition of a God of the Gaps is a God that exists in the brains of believers who do not have an explanation for a natural phenomenon, or believers who don't want or accept a rational explanation for something. Let me make an example. Just a few centuries ago, almost all humans were afraid of being punished by their particular god for a mistake they made by being killed by lightning. They could not rationally explain this lightning thingy and the noise they heard. In the meantime, physicists and meteorologists have found out that lightning is just a discharge of particles which were electrically charged through friction within active clouds caused by updrafts. This discharge or short circuit happens so quickly that the air can't move out of the way fast enough and is compressed at speeds much higher than the speed of sound, which causes the sound of thunder. No lightning, no thunder. We know these things happen and how they happen. This is why people today don't feel threatened anymore by a phenomenon in nature, as they know the natural explanation. People generally accept that thunder has no function, and the various gods which used to be responsible for thunder have long been retired. Well, except for Muslims, that is. As even today, Muslims, according to sentence 1313 in their book, are required to believe that thunder itself, totally ignoring the lightning, is under the direct control of their god, and that thunder has two functions. One, it is a form of praise of that god, and two, can be used to punish disbelievers. The secondary text of Islam, the Sunnah, places an angel along with thunder who is responsible for moving the clouds, further adding to the superstitions rampant in Islamic texts. But it's not only the superstitious Muslims. Other followers of religions also believe in lightning being a form of punishment by their respective gods.
But he loves you.
Isn't it time to accept reality rather than trusting an old book? We know today where stars are and what they are. We know not just the paths of stars, but their composition and age. Today we know what germs and bacteria do, where earthquakes, volcanoes, tornadoes or tsunamis come from, without having to resort to superstitions and imaginary gods. There are countless phenomena in nature which in ancient times all required the control of the various gods, until we learned by studying, exploring, experimenting and applying science that there were natural and totally logical explanations for these, as well as associated experiments which provided reproducible and verifiable results and subsequent real-life benefits, which can't be said for any of the religions and their religious books. The discovery of natural explanations meant retiring the gods responsible for those phenomena gracefully over just a few generations, as the gap between a phenomenon and a rational explanation no longer required any patching by invoking a supernatural being. This is what I call the god of these gaps, gaps which are thankfully becoming more and more scarce. Very soon, mankind will run out of these gaps and will be left with a spiritual God only required for comfort, hope, and the preservation of people's memories, theists call soul. Or maybe we can agree to completely decide to live in the here and now and to enjoy our lives today the way we see fit, without having to thank one of the gods for the recovery from a heart attack, but modern medicine. This leaves two questions in my mind. Because theists constantly ask me how life started or the universe came about, if an atheist does not know the precise ingredients of Coca-Cola, does that automatically mean that a god is responsible for Coke? If a plane crashes, do we investigate the cause and try to run experiments and use science to determine the cause? Or should we rather sit down and pray to a god to please, pretty please, not let it happen again? Thank you for your time.